put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning.
Good morning, viewers. It's just about 7:35 a.m. and welcome back to the Tobago Updates morning show, coming to you here live from the Port Mall in Scarborough, Tobago. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. Indeed, it is. I'm Julien Skeete this morning, and we're heading into our discussions with Rohdill Kirk, Superintendent of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, and we're speaking to updates from the T.T.P.S. And quite naturally, I was just saying as we are coming on to this interview, it's one of the things I always commend Superintendent Rohdill Kirk for. No matter the circumstances, even in the midst of it all, he's prepared to talk to the media and to keep us and to keep you, the viewers and listeners, abreast of the circumstances. And we get started almost immediately. This is one of those times, a very eventful last few days. And I want you to start off by bringing us up to speed in terms of the facts of the matter with the happenings that took place, from the fatal accident going to, we understand that there was a shootings also taking place over the course of the weekend. Sorry to start you so sudden, but you with no duty call, so you are required.
Yes. Good morning to you, Julian, and good morning to your listeners and viewers. Yes, indeed, the weekend has been very busy for the police. We had a house fire in Roxborough. Unfortunately, I just want to, reach out to those persons who lost their belongings and so on in that fire. Also, in respect of the fatal accident, we have a 58-year-old man who lost his life again by road traffic accident on the highway in the vicinity of the Lowlands Mall. And again, I want to extend my deepest condolences to the family of that gentleman, Mr. Samuel Wilkinson. Again, I was here the last time talking about road safety, and I urge motorists and pedestrians alike to be careful even around this time while using the roadway, because we know, what we observe, drivers, we are telling you reduce your speed, we are telling you be road safe, we are telling you be self-aware, and yet again, we continue to see, not only in Tobago, but in Trinidad as well, we have fatalities in terms of road traffic accident over the weekend. In the Tobago space, again, what continues to be our challenge is the house breaking around this time. People are watching what you are bringing in and what and they are making you a target. So you yourself have to harden yourself as a target and use the initiatives to protect yourself. We had our Sherburne Road Police Station yesterday going about the community of Patience Hill, and the idea was to sensitize people about crime initiative and what they can do to prevent crimes being perpetrated against them. So that is commendable by the Sherburne Police, and I must say hats off to Inspector Pigott and a team. But the weekend again has been very, very busy, and we continue to serve you. We continue our rollout with our operations for the Christmas season. You will see the police presence in the shopping malls, in the shopping areas, in the areas where on the street you will see the police more visible, in the week ahead coming forward.
And let's start from let's also look at the perspective of the accidents and the roadways. Would you say, I know it may not necessarily be law at this time, but what's your thinking in relation to getting to that point where defensive driving becomes part of how we operate as a people? Is that something you'd want to encourage? What are your thoughts in that area?
I will always want to encourage it. I myself has been a beneficiary of defensive driving. And one of the three things that they talk about is recognize the hazard, understand the defense and act correctly in time. So those are the three main principles that you must observe as a driver. And, and again, accidents do happen basically mainly on human error. And, I saw something just recently, and I'm going to urge members of the public to cease that practice immediately, because I'm going to ensure that my traffic personnel go out and shoot to that. That Claude Noel Highway in the vicinity of Light and Life, you see motorists still come, stop school children to cross that roadway in a busy rush hour in the morning, and that shouldn't be encouraged. under no circumstances, we are trying to minimize the number of road traffic accidents, especially fatalities. And we are doing our best. We are doing our public education campaign. We are doing our DUIs. We are doing speed. We are sensitizing people. And yet still, people still want to engage in the lawless kind of driving. I mean, accidents do happen, but these are things most of the time could be avoided. It could be avoided, but, again, the public needs to be aware, especially around this time, and drivers need to reduce their speed. They need to drive and drive for themselves and for other persons using the road. So that is my advice this morning. We are going to be out there, and we need to step it up. We need to step it up, because even last week, Friday, I would have been coming down and you see people, drivers engaging in lawlessness, and I would have used siren. I would have tried to pull aside drivers, and they are saying flat, "What you harassing me for? You can't pull me aside." Driver telling me that on the roadway, I had to take some action Friday gone in respect to that. So it means that our drivers need to be educated about the laws, the road traffic laws in Trinidad and Tobago.
So I want to also clarify, just as you mentioned in that vicinity there with the high school, there are some who come, and I understand, coming from the west, those on the opposite side, creating that challenge. Does the law stand in the same way for those who are coming from the east? Because I see some of them coming from the east and they try to pull in what is a small space there on the side to drop them off on the actual side. Are both not allowed? Or
whilst
tell us
that
how...
may appear to be a bit safer,
Right.
there is regulation on the highway that says no stopping your shoulder in case of emergency, and you are pulling on the shoulder basically and stop. And I'm saying, that should be discouraged, because when it starts that way, even with the driver exiting the shoulder to merge back on the highway, could result in a collision. And that is why we are trying to urge, whether you're coming from the east or coming from the west, try to desist from that practice, because it will create congestion, and the risk would increase in terms of you getting in an accident in that area.
So either way, folks, just a note, it's not acceptable under the circumstance. Whoever viewer asking about the question, what would be the charge for a driver in the case of what took place, over the weekend here with the fatal accident and the life that would have been lost in the circumstance?
Well, I don't want to preempt anything, but an investigation will be done. And if it is that it's found that the driver was the one at fault, usually on completion, the charges that may be, it could be dangerous driving, it could be causing death by dangerous driving. All these are charges that could be considered, but I'm not seized of the facts of the entire incident. So when that comes forward and the investigation is complete, then we will make recommendations, and then we'll know what charge we'll prefer against any person, if there is need for that.
All right. This morning we also want to chat as well in terms of the concern, and it's something we really don't want to see rising at all here in the Tobago space: violence against women and our girls. What's the take and the positioning of the T.T.P.S at this time?
Well, last week I came here and I talked about the International Men's Week and how men should step forward. This week, we are looking at the celebration of the 16 days of activism in celebrating or in recognizing, gender-based violence against women and girls. And what we are advocating is for us, the men, again, to step forward and join the chorus in terms of the call, an awareness against these gender-based violence. Because what we recognize is that men are also victims, but at the same time, the records would show that, this kind of action is more perpetrated against women and girls. So we are urging our men, instead of standing on the sidelines, to step out and join the call, join these groups to advocate against it, because it's something that is becoming too prevalent. And the T.T.P.S, although we adopt a zero tolerance view in terms of violence against women, we are saying that us as men now to step forward and join the call to stand up against violence against women. Oftentimes we will see, whether it be in our neighborhoods, in our workplace, we'll see things happening, and you find people will stand up and say, well, it's not our business, leave it, let it happen. Time to step forward, let your voice be heard. I think it would be a bit more empowering if men itself step out, join the women in terms of calling against, these gender-based issues. It just send a clearer message that we understand, we understand what takes place throughout the world, and we are there to support the call so that, these issues could be treated with and, put in the forefront so that we could deal with it in going forward.
It just takes me to the age-old saying, just as you said it there, sometimes we have the unfortunate circumstance. And, we got to call out some of us here where we feel if something isn't affecting us directly, we stay in our corner and we ignore it and act as though it doesn't exist. And we all grew up with the clear understanding here, particularly in Tobago, when your neighbor house on fire,
wet yours.
Remember to wet yours. Yeah. For those viewing internationally, simply saying, when those around you and you are observing and you are seeing concerns or challenges being faced by them, you can't just ignore it, especially if you're in a position to lend some kind of helping hand or put some word out there or even make a call in this circumstance. Do your part. And, it's important for us to really emphasize that in terms of returning what I have heard for years, my grandmother and others talk about in terms of that community spirit. Today we may call it being, a commerce and you're minding people's business, but ultimately what it did for us years ago was to key to that opportunity that everyone was looking out for each other, looking out for each other in terms of that sense of community. And I want you, to also just touch very quickly for us as we spoke about men more recently and, girls and women, that element and reminder of how the T.T.P.S has now transitioned into really seeking out that community element and connecting. So you don't only see the T.T.P.S when something is wrong.
Of course. And the thing about it, you see, we start looking at ourselves as proactive agents instead of reactive. So this is why we are here sending the message out, because we recognize even at very young, we need to let our boys understand all these issues so that when they grow up, it will be manifested in them so that they could be agents of change in going forward. So this is one of the initiatives that we start. We don't just sit and wait to react to something. We are trying to prevent it. So this is why I'm here. And you may ask the question, why a man or a male is coming here to talk about, gender-based violence against women and supporting women. This is just the start as a stepping stone. Seeing me as a male coming out and stepping forward and sending that message and advocating as well. I would want others like me to join me and join the female out there to advocate their message as well. It sends a strong signal. It puts us on a united front, and it shows that let's don't tolerate these issues. As I will take a line from them, they say, let's be a hero and cause gender-based violence to be zero. So that is part of the message that we want to send, in going forward. So, I call upon my brothers, let us, show the support in this week, ending the 10th of December. Let us go out and, show that support against the call against violence against women and girls throughout our world, throughout our nation, throughout, our communities.
All right. So it's the activism week that's happening.
Yes, the 16 days of activism against, it started November 25th, and it's due to end on December 10th.
So certainly it's a reminder and a call going out to each and every one out there. And I just give you the opportunity, closing statements and, to incorporate quite naturally that reminder to persons in the event of an emergency, what they should do. Your closing comments.
Right. My closing comments again, the Christmas is upon us and shoppers will be out there. Again, we urge you to be self-aware. In case of emergencies, dial 555, dial 211, dial 999. Or, call the nearest police station in your zone in Tobago. Try to look them up. There is Scarborough 639-2515, Sherburne Road 639-8888. Just call the emergency numbers in the event of anything and the police will respond promptly.
Excellent. Thank you very much there again, folks. Superintendent Rohdill Kirk of the Trinidad and Tobago Police
Thank you for having me.
Service, giving us that a general update in terms of the happenings and the reminder. Yes, even as challenging as it may be, the T.T.P.S is certainly taking up its responsibility. Speaking as well to that connection, road accidents, it seems to be a big topic at this time, and we got to continue to remind us, folks, if we all just try to slow it down a bit, if we all just try to slow it down a bit, we could make a difference in the circumstance. And so let's remember that greater responsibility and urgently that reminder in terms of the 16 days of activism happening until the 10th of December. Let's connect and let's make sure that we do our part in the circumstances. So we say thank you very much again. The T.T.P.S continuing to keep us connected with the happenings and the information and the progress that we're making as well. And that gentle reminder, folks, as we head on out for a break, it's your opportunity to share the live. Share the live. Share the live.